Okay, before I continue, I want to remind you that please use the Q&A feature of the Zoom, and we can get the questions, and I'll ask the questions to the speakers. And the following speaker is Professor Huang, the editor-in-chief of AA&P and the chair of the symposium. Professor Huang is the professor of the School of the Traffic and Transportation Engineering of Central South University, and also serving as Dean of the School of International Education. Professor Huang will deliver a speech about the 50 years of history of the AA&P. Professor Huang, please turn on your camera and share your screen. The floor is yours.
Okay. See that?
Yes. Can you make it full screen?
Yes. See that? Okay.
Yes. Very good.
Okay. Thanks for the introduction of Joyce. We actually worked very good for further developing the journal. Okay, dear AA&P editors and reviewers and others, the friends, I'm Helai Huang from Central South University. Today is my best pleasure to meet you in this online ISAAP 2021. I will have a talk on the 50 years development and some proposed future directions of AA&P. I know that I'm probably young to talk on this topic, but periodically review will be very helpful for the health and the further development of our journal. There are so many researchers much more senior than me and many editorial board members, and as such, I only in this presentation, I only share with you some basic statistics and some analysis and some of my observations and thoughts after my role as an associate editor since 2013 and become a co-editor with Dr. Mohammed Abd-Ati in 2020. And since January of 2021, I became the editor-in-chief. The main content in this talk are from a paper I co-authored with Dr. Zhou and Dr. Yu from Monash University, the top one university for production in AA&P. The basic statistics are done for the period of 1969 to 2019. As you can see, historically, AA&P was founded by Professor Frank Haight in 1969. And this is 2 years after establishing the journal Transportation Research as introduced by Joyce. And it is affiliated with the Association for the Advancement of Automotive Medicine. Professor Frank Haight is the first editor-in-chief. And there are other 4 editors-in-chief during the 50 years of AA&P, including Professor Ron Elwick, Professor Kok Kim, Professor Mohammed Abd-Ati, and myself. In 1969, AA&P published its first 4 issues. Till now, AA&P has published more than 7,000 papers in 164 volumes. The impact, in fact, and the 5-year impact fact are 4.99 is 5 and 5.15 respectively, making it one of the top Q1 journals in is for all the JCR categories. Professor Hagenziker conducted a quantitative analysis based on keyword frequencies and confirmed that AA&P is the most productive journal in road safety research. He suggests that the development of road safety research can be divided into 5 stages. As shown in this slide, and during the early days, motorized transportation accidents were seen as a result of bad luck, and the research was focused on describing what happened and on collecting the very basic crash data and statistics. When the number of accidents started to increase, the view that a small number of drivers could be researchers in this stage focused on finding the characteristics of the driver who were to blame for causing accidents, and the search for the psychological testing as a predictor of the accident-prone drivers started. And in the next period, from roughly 1950 until 1970, the more dominant view can be characterized as looking for the cause of accidents. One cause per accident, okay, is postulated, and either for the road user or the vehicle or the road. And the solutions were sought in a choice from the 3 E's. We all know that: engineering, education, and enforcement. And the fourth period is characterized by multi-causal approach. It is not a single cause, but a combination of factors that contribute to the occurrence of an accident. And during this period, the so-called Harden matrix was introduced, showing multiple factors and stages of the accident. In recent years, viewed as the result of integral road system, the view that the road system should be adapted to human capabilities, the limitations. This becomes a more and more commonly recognized area. In this left figure, as also introduced by Joyce, displays the rankings of AA&P in different categories. AA&P ranked the top quartile in all the 4 categories it belongs. Note that it ranked #1 in the category of ergonomics. In both journal citation to the right figures, the journal citation and the journal co-citation networks of road safety studies, AA&P is at the center with the largest loss. This suggests that AA&P dominates the field of road safety with the highest numbers of publications as well as the citations. During the past 50 years, from 1969 to 2018, AA&P published 5,769 papers in 121 volumes. Those 50 years can be divided into actually 3 stages: exploratory stage, the starting stage, and the steady development stage, and the rapid development stage. In the first stage, the research achievements are preliminary and emerging, with small annual numbers of publications and a slow growth rate. However, these research achievements laid the foundation for AA&P. They are very important. In the second stage, we witnessed the increase in the number of publications. The increasing rate was very steady, and AA&P gradually became a stable career of new research in the discipline of road safety. In the rapid development stage, the final stage, the current stage, many new research topics were explored in AA&P, and issues related to road safety became prominent in academic circles. Well, this is the annual publication and the citation structure of AA&P. We see the left figure is the annual publication and citations. The total citations in these 3 stages are: the first stage, 3,500. The second one is 52,000, and the third one is 89,000, respectively. Papers published in early years have lower citation levels, which might be because we guess the electronic journals have not yet appeared. And the right figure suggests that the impact factor increases significantly year by year. And this is the recent 5 years, the impact factors. We see that the impact factor of AAP continue to grow. And especially the IF of 2020 is 4.993, approximately 5, indicating that the influence of AAP has reached a new level. And as for the safety in low and middle income countries, actually the factor reported by the WHO, World Health Organization, suggests that more than 19% of the traffic deaths occur in low and middle income countries, and these countries owe approximately only 60% of the world's vehicles. So the road safety issue has aroused attention of these countries. As shown, you can see that in this figure, since 2004, more and more studies have been conducted and published in these low and middle income countries. And this is the key word called occurrence networks for the two periods, not the two periods, the steady development stage and the rapid development stage. In the network of steady development stage, the common keywords include alcohol, epidemiology, and others, indicating that the research on alcohol remains a hotspot at this stage. And the epidemiology of the road traffic injuries, risky driver behavior, especially for the young and at risk, and crash risks are all important research content. In the current stage, the rapid development stage, many more keywords appear, including the driver simulator, road safety simulation, and the driver distraction perception, and the Bayesian perception, and so on. With the development and the validation of driving simulators, they have been widely used as tool for researching traffic psychology and behavior related to road safety. Furthermore, with advances in mathematics and computing, advanced data mining technology, and the road safety simulation software, as well as the post-processor, the SSAM, for example, have been developed and utilized extensively by researchers whose work has been published in AAP. From this slide, we turn to some details. And this one is for the highly influential papers. The highly cited papers are those that have had a very strong influence in the field. They are believed to indicate research hotspots during certain period. The figure is the annual distribution of the top 50 papers published in the past of AAP. We can find that many highly influential papers were published during 1997 to 2011. And the top and some high influential papers, the topics are gradually changing. You may see that the keywords here. For example, during the 1997 to 2011 are many about epidemiology, age, fatigue, workload, speed, and the driver capability. While the topics of highly influential papers before 1997 are mainly about alcohol, older and at least driving and the young drivers, driving behavior, head-led injury, crash, risk, and sleep. And this is the list of the top 10 most cited papers. The top one is driving speed and the risk of road crashes, a review by Arts and Van with 4.4 citations. This is the statistic we get it in 2019. The review-based research of journal has the second highest number of citations, followed by Zuha, a published paper in 2010. However, the paper with the highest number of citations per year is the 30 years of safety climate research reflections and future directions by Zuha, which indicates that this paper has attracted significant attention from our community in a relative short period. 4 of the 4 papers develop and evaluate the performance of the modeling technologies, the Poisson, elective binomial, and zero inflation in crash frequency modeling analysis. These 4 papers have laid a solid foundation and become core publications in this field. It was very hot in the last about 15 years. And 2 papers, another 2 papers by Fulners and by Brookes fall within the research field of effect of hazard and the risk perception on driving behavior. The first one, the Fulner one, details the task capability interface. They call this TCI modeling, and find that the perceived task difficulty is related to the feeling of risk, while the later finds that cell phone use while driving has a negative effect on driving performance. And the final paper by Dr. Milton, published in 2008, falls within the research field of crash injury severity modeling analysis. About the countries, as also mentioned by Joyce, the cumulative percentage distribution of publication for the top 30 countries is given in the right graph. The top 10 of these countries account for about 75% of the publications, and the top 20 for 89%. And the top 30 for almost all, more than 95% of the publications in AA&P. Not surprisingly, actually, the USA is well ahead of other countries, dominating the list in terms of its total publication historically, and also for the total citations, as you can see in this in the table left, and the H index. Its total publications number is nearly triple that of Australia, which is in second place, while the Canada and England hold the 3rd and 4th positions respectively. With regard to the developing trend for the countries, it can see that the USA ranked first over the past 2 decades, and followed by Australia and Canada. And China, as shown by Joyce, and has shown very strong growth in recent years, and having surpassed Canada, and is likely to surpass Australia to become one of the top 3 source countries of publications in AA&P. Regarding the organizations, the left table show that this is the list for the top 30 productive organizations associated with AA&P. Among the top 30, actually 25 are universities and 5 are research institutions of other kinds. Actually, the number of organizations located in the USA is the largest, followed by Australia and Canada. Monash University has the highest number of publications, followed by QUT. Well, now the chairman in the afternoon, Professor Hark, the Queensland University of Technology. Both are in Australia. However, Purdue University receives the most citations per publication, while the ITE Institute of Transport Economics, Norway, has the highest H index. Well, our last editor, Professor Ron Elvik, is in ITE. This is about authors. This is the top 10 most productive authors to our journal. 5 of them are from USA, which is consistent with the fact that most papers over the past 50 years has come from these countries, and that the USA is dominant source of the scholarship in this field. 6 authors have published at least 30 papers in AA&P, and Professor Mohammed Abad Ati tops the list, and with the most papers and the highest H index. In addition, he published Dr. Ati published the 2 top 50 papers. And the next is Professor Ron Elvik with 77 papers that received more than 1,700 citations. And Professor Fred Mannering ranks first in the categories of total citation with a contribution of 8 top 50 papers, 8 from Professor Fred Mannering, making him the most influential author published in AA&P. This figure shows the knowledge flow as reflected by AA&P based on, this is the 2017 JCR database when we did the analysis. In the database, the top 20 journals cited by AA&P are on the left side, and those citing AA&P are on the right. The cited journals on the left, which constitute the main knowledge inputs into the journal, are knowledge basis of the papers AA&P has published. It can be seen that AA&P is the most cited, AA&P itself is the most cited, and also it cites itself the most. Actually, this self-citation is quite common among journals, and here also indicates that AA&P has published many high-impact papers and it is continuing to make advances in this field. And the cited journals in second and the third places are TRR and TRF, while the corresponding citing journals are TRF is the number is 857, and the traffic injury prevention 662. This indicates a very strong pattern of mutual promotion of development between actually the transportation research part F, the behavior and psychology, and the journal AA&P. What's more, 9 cited journals and 12 citing journals belongs to the category of transportation journals, including like the TRR, TRF, and the Journal of Safety Research. This indicates that the AA&P has become a very important platform of knowledge dissemination in the transportation research community. In addition, AA&P has widely cited and been cited in very high impact journals in other fields, such as the applied psychology, industrial engineering, and the clinical neurology. This shows the interdisciplinary, actually is the nature of road safety research, the nature of our journal, and the attention it receives from distinguished journals in other fields. Okay, let's come to the main research topics. The results was from the data analysis in the paper. We used the VOS viewer software. This is the co-citation analysis, using that to construct the co-citation network for AA&P. And we can see that we can develop divide the publications into 5 main clusters. From the effect of hazard and risk perception on driving behavior, and cluster 3, the intentional driving violations and aberrant driving behavior, and to the epidemiology assessment and the prevention of road traffic injuries. And the 2 other classes are about the modeling, injury severity modeling and the frequency modeling. Okay, let's come to the first cluster. In this cluster, actually, the human vehicle road environment system is very complicated, and the human factor dominates as the cause of the traffic crashes. One key factor is the perception of hazards. This is actually a driver's ability to identify and react to potential traffic dangers, and the hazard perception is closely related to crashes, as it not only distinguishes how different people drive, but also relates to the types of crashes that drivers cause. In 1999, as shown in the bottom right of in the table, okay, Jerry in this field, Jerry proposed a model of processes underlying driving behavior in response to potential hazard to show how the concepts and the functions of hazard and risk perception are different. Risk perception emphasizes a driver's subjective assessment of danger and is often considered to be a mediator or moderator variable in research. So in recent years, more focus has been put on vulnerable road users, especially child bicyclists, in terms of hazard perception test and training, perception of risk in different traffic situations, as well as the crash probability estimation through assessment of the abilities of drivers to perceive the hazards, potential hazards. Okay, the second cluster is crash frequency modeling analysis. This cluster is quite close to relative to the cluster 5, as we mentioned, the injury severity modeling. This means that there are many studies whose topics overlap and influence one another. Crash frequency model is an essential tool in traffic safety analysis. Numerous studies have been conducted to evaluate the safety level of various types of the road entities and to identify hotspots or sites with promise and to find appropriate countermeasures. A variety of statistical and econometric models have been developed at both the road entities and the road entities, we call it as micro level, and in the past decades under the context of transportation safety planning, the zonal or macro level. Traditional the linear regression, multiple linear regression, Poisson elective binomial, we also call it as Poisson gamma, and Poisson normal multivariate modeling, also the ZIP zero inflation models are very well established techniques in analyzing crash frequency. However, in the presence of the unobserved heterogeneities, zero inflation, multi-level, and the spatial temporal correlations of crash data, traditional approaches could result biased or inefficient parameter estimations, and subsequently lead to inaccurate inferences and predictions. To address these issues, actually, now we have many more advanced methods with better goodness of fit and predictive performances. The random parameters models, the Bayesian hierarchical models, the spatial and temporal models and the finite mixture state switching models and so on. And the third cluster is intentional driving violations and aberrant driving behavior. In 1990, Reason developed the pioneering Manchester DBQ, driver behavior questionnaire, and found that the contributing factors of aberrant driving are violations, dangerous errors, and harmless lapses. Based on their study, many researchers developed the DBQ and utilized in different countries and the drivers of different sorts. In AA&P, actually studies of the relationship between the risky driving behavior and the driving violation and the road accidents have a very long history. The most important contribution of AA&P scholars relate to assessment or prediction of aggressive and risky driving, as well as selective driving outcomes, including the violations, based on driving anger and personality traits. Of course, we have many other factors like the gender, the driving behavior, style of driving, and the driving experience. And across the four, the road traffic injury is a non-negligible worldwide social safety and public health concern that leads to more than 3,000 fatalities every day. Actually, from the epidemiological point of view, the road traffic injury is a type of social disease. By conducting the analytical investigation of injury patterns and the characteristics, risk factors, injury severity, treatment, and prevention of traffic crashes, and the road traffic injury, the patterns of road traffic injury or occurrence could be better understood. The relationships among social causes, natural environments, and the crash managements and the treatment processes are explored. Preventive strategies are proposed, and so as to provide a scientific basis for the road safety management or mitigation. And high quality data source and the databases are very important, extremely important for accessing the risk factors behind the road traffic injury and developing interventions to reduce the total number. And the last cluster is crash injury severity modeling analysis. As mentioned before, this cluster has a very close relationship with the crash frequency modeling analysis. Is more technical. The purpose of research on this one, on the crash analysis, is not only to decrease the crash frequency, to reduce the crash frequency, but also reduce the crash injury severity. Through research on the distribution of related variables and their influence on the severity of crash injuries, solutions, combinations could be proposed to reduce the severity and enhance the overall safety. In AA&P publications, a variety of important methodological approaches for analyzing crash injury severity have been established and proposed, like the logistic regression, the listed logit, ordered logit, mixed logit, hierarchical Bayesian model, neural networks recently, and the Bayesian networks, decision trees. Of course, currently there are so many AI and deep learning models applied. It actually continues to be a very hot area. Actually, this is screenshot from the paper. In this journal, the AA&P, we have enjoyed a very good and great reputation in the world and has a far-reaching influence. But you know that the technologies develop very rapidly. The most noticeable one is about the intelligent, connected, autonomous vehicles. We call it as ICV or CAV. I prefer to ICV, intelligent and connected vehicles. And the safety under this background, the safety becomes very first priority subject in research for the new generation of transportation systems. This system actually with the real-time monitoring and to monitor their surroundings for hazards and communicating with other vehicles and the road infrastructure, the intelligent and collected vehicles could achieve probably the collision avoidance, route optimization, and crash reduction, injury severity reduction. And in the last years, there are a number of studies on this topic, ICV safety, has appeared in AP on topics like the sleepless, fatigue, distraction in ICVs, and the ICV disengagements, and also the impact of cyber attacks, very new topic on ICVs, cyber attacks. Safety impact evaluation of ICVs and the collision risk assessment for ICVs. Research on ICV safety will become increasingly crucial and diverse and multidisciplinary. Based on the existing review, actually in the paper we proposed modified hardened metrics for ICVs to provide insight into road safety studies involving ICVs. Actually, we consulted with many peers to make this table. There's still a great deal of work to be done before we know that the full automated driving, we call it level 5, is achieved. For example, it's expected to be preceded by highly automated driving, the level 4, being introduced to road in next like 10 to 20 years. And the drivers will still be needed. We still need to drive the car by ourselves. Sometimes, or in most occasions, we need to take control of the vehicles, and we need to work together with the automatic system. Sometimes we need to take over swiftly. Or traffic conditions are encountered, which in some cases they cannot handle. So the research on the ICV alert and the backup systems and the training for drivers to take over in challenging situations are necessary. Before ICVs completed replace conventional vehicles, a mix of the two on roads will be a very great safety concern and the issue of research. So increasing market penetration rate of the ICV, and especially enhancing the public trust and acceptance of them, as well as modifying the driver behavior appropriately. For example, teaching how ICVs and the conventional vehicles should interact. So all these are very important to explore. In addition, ICVs should not only be able to perceive other road users, and they should also be able to identify their gestures and even predict their behaviors in order to make better informed decisions and reduce risks. Okay, so all these are very important research topics. That's why we have the topic of this ISAP. When we had the first meeting, the first ISAP held in 2018 in Changsha, when many electoral board members gathered, to discuss, we set up this topic for the special issue. Okay, so above is what I want to report for AAP history and some thoughts on the future development. And of course, with this opportunity, I would like to also spend some like 3 minutes more to summarize what we are planning to do in the next stage of the journal AAP editorial drop. 3 points. The first one, speed up review process. We need to do the best. We need to analyzing the current situation of the editorial board and the number of editorial members, board members in each research direction. As the AP is so much multidisciplinary, and the number of the members should be reasonably adjusted. And meanwhile, the editorial board should be formed by prominent and, more importantly, active scholars in the related field. So I also share my welcome for those active and excellent scholars to apply for joining the editorial board, especially from the field of emerging aspects of safety research. And moreover, to speed up the review process, we have now a very rapid increasing rate of submissions. Okay, to save the time of both reviewers and the authors. Okay, we will keep the desk rejection rate around or above 60%. Okay, 60%. 6 from 10 papers submissions. We will do very quick desk rejection. According to the major topics of this journal, divide reviewers into different groups and determine the number of reviewing groups based on the number of submissions to each topic. So in this way, the working efficiency could be further improved, and the turnaround time of each process in reviewing could be significantly shortened to speed up the review process. The second point is to improve the paper quality. One action we want to take, and we are taking, is to publish good a typical example of this kind. And prominent scholars in the related fields will be invited to organize special issues and publish articles to discuss or to lead the frontier safety problems. The publication period should be reduced so that the journal can attract more excellent manuscripts, increase the number of highly cited papers, increasing communications among scholars, and promote the popularity of the journal. The final, but not the least one, enhancing journal impacts. We need to increase the publicity of the journal, especially in some new fields. Now we worked very closely actually with the IEEE journals, and of course the Transportation Research Journal series. And also AAP is willing to support prestigious conferences worldwide. Besides, the editors will be encouraged to promote the AAP when they attend other prestigious conferences. Another important action is to establish the ISAAP system. Like this time, offline symposium will be held given the global epidemic situation recover. And the ISAAP will be held every 2 years and actively invite excellent manuscripts based on a proposed special issue. For each ISAAP, the special issue will include like 30 to 40 top manuscripts and will be directly reviewed and published as a special issue in AAP. Okay, so in this time, we actually, for the ICV special issue, the ICV safety special issue, we received, I remember more than 200 good submissions, and finally we published 36 papers. Okay, so that's all. Thank you, and all colleagues to keep health and happy. Thanks for your contributions to the Journal of AAP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Huang. I received 4 questions, but due to the time constraint, you can take a look at the questions and you can answer after the presentation.
Yes, right. The first one is from Professor Huang. I would like to ask whether papers on intelligent collected vehicle will be more popular in AAP in the future. Besides, what are directions of ICV will be more suitable for AAP? Looking forward to your reply. Okay, this is actually quite a common question when more and more authors submitted related papers in this topic to AAP. Actually, we focus on what? Focus on, as mentioned by Joyce, the safety, to save lives. Okay, all the safety problems in transportation systems, especially for the emerging transportation technologies applied to our system, we need to pay attention to. But some papers, sometimes the authors submit papers, the topic like the design of the automatic systems. Okay, in this case, the focus is more about automation. It's not specifically for the safety purpose. So in this, for those types of paper, we will desk reject them. Okay, so this means that the main focus of our journal is for safety. Okay, this is the answer to the first question.
Professor Huang, we don't have the answer on live, so you can take a look at the question and you can answer, and you can type the answer after us because you are.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Huang.
Thank you.